The first day of fall and the Art Lewis Show for a brand new week. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news around 10:30, we're going to be chatting with Bill O'Reilly and his new book called Confronting Evil. At 11 o'clock this morning, we're going to learn about Bronner's seeking employees for the season. And during this hour, we have another topic and an interesting guest to talk to, because there's going to be a special run coming up, a 5K, to support mothers. And we're going to find out why this morning. In studio with us this morning, well, before I introduce her, let me introduce Christiana Malakara with us this morning, who thought she was going to get away without saying anything, and that's not the case.
Good morning. Good morning, Art.
I'm going to let you introduce Katie, because you know her and you had her on your program.
I do. I did have Katie on my program, so thank you, Art, for making me speak up this morning. As he's giggling. As some of you know, I have a radio show. It's also in podcast format. It's called That's What She Said. And we're working on a year and a half of that. And in season 1, I had this amazing guest who she literally went viral on the page, went viral through YouTube. And that would be Dr. Katie. Dr. Katie, she talked about her journey as a mother who has lost a child, and how to navigate through that. Since then, she's had some career changes, some epiphanies, and she is now with child. So there's tons of great news with Dr. Katie, and we are on here today to talk about her second year of the Remembrance 5K coming up. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Katie.
Dr. Katie Harrington with us this morning. So a doctor of
physical therapy.
Physical therapy. Ooh, a twister, I call them. How long have you been doing that?
6 years.
Have you?
Yeah.
So let's go back. Before we get to the run and the story, let's go back to your story about how you lost one of your babies.
Yeah. So in 2023, I was pregnant with twins. I went in for my first non-stress test, and we found out that one of our twins, Piper, she no longer had a heartbeat. No one really knows what happened. It's just twins are high risk, so sometimes, those things happen. I was admitted to Covenant, and I was on bed rest, like legitimate bed rest. I could unplug the monitors to go to the bathroom and take a shower. Otherwise, I was in bed.
You were in bed.
I was in bed. And as a physical therapist, it is hard to not get up and move. So I was placed on bed rest and constant monitoring. And then 10 days later, I delivered both of our girls. And then our survivor, Juniper, was in the NICU at Covenant for 29 days.
And the surviving baby, were they premature or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we lost Piper. We found out we lost her at 30. I was 31 weeks and 3 days. And then we had them at 32 weeks and 5 days.
Did they ever determine why?
They said it's probably a cord accident, but there's no really way to tell.
No way to tell.
Yeah.
The surviving one survived?
Yep. She's doing great. Yep. She's 2 years old, and she's a little spitfire, so.
So this has led you to do what?
So I wanted a way to honor her, but also have other families and parents who have gone through loss have a way to honor their babies too. So one of the ways that I was doing that by myself was I created a memorial garden for her, and that was something to just do that I could do by myself. But like I said, I wanted to do more and have more of a community aspect to it. So we created the Tiny Footprints Remembrance 5K. The first one was last year. Our second annual one is this year on October 11th, and that's at St. Charles Park in Midland.
St. Charles Park in Midland.
Yes.
Which will confuse everybody.
Yes.
So what are the details in terms of registration, cost, and all of that?
So the race is at 10 a.m. And then if we have a Facebook page, it's called the Tiny Footprints Remembrance 5K. as the event, but we are also working on a nonprofit right now. We're almost official, just the paperwork needs to get filed, and that's called the Tiny Footprints Remembrance Foundation. So any information you can find there. And then if you go to runsignup.com, you can search for the Tiny Footprints Remembrance 5K to sign up there, and it is $30.
And this is the second one.
This is
How did the first one go?
It was great. Was not expecting as many people as we had. So,
Christiana mentioned some changes in your employment.
yes.
What's changed?
So I am a pelvic floor specialist, which means
What?
a pelvic floor, like pelvic health specialist. So I used to see a lot of pregnant and postpartum people, and that became very difficult following the loss of my daughter. It was a very triggering experience, and patients would come in who have had twins, and it was just really difficult. I was anxious for work every single day, and I really loved what I did, but I had to do what was best for my mental health. So I made a shift, and now I do home care.
So I have to ask, when you were discussing the loss of the child, you indicated the child had a name.
Yes. Her name is Piper.
And you named her when?
I actually had both of them named very early in my pregnancy.
So you knew.
Yeah.
Did you know you were having girls?
Yes.
Or you did the ultrasound and all that good stuff?
Oh, well, so actually now they can do a blood test as soon as, I think 7 weeks. So I did that as soon as I possibly could. After I knew they were identical, I knew I could do the blood test because they're either both girls or both boys. So I did that before we would find out on the ultrasound because I'm impatient.
If you did a blood test and it was one girl and one boy, what would it show? Would it show it?
It would show. So if you had fraternal twins, you wouldn't be able to do it because you didn't know if it would be accurate. The blood test for the male hormone. So
it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And premature, how long did it take for the surviving youngster, to reach full maturity?
So their due date was, I had a few due dates. I think they eventually went with July 24th. So she was discharged from the hospital before she got to her due date. They usually say when babies are in the NICU, they're probably going to keep them until their due date, but she did really well. So she was discharged early.
How small was she?
3 pounds, 9 ounces.
So she wasn't insignificantly small. She was smaller than normal.
Yeah.
Because normally, 5 pounds is the release?
Yeah, but she got discharged at 4 pounds, 15.5 ounces.
Gave you that half ounce.
Yeah.
Extra time,
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with our guests after these notes. Let me take a moment to talk to you about Quick Lane, Freeland, and McDonald Ford. They're on the same property. One thing is for certain. Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to tell you, is not far away. Today's the first day of fall, actually. That means snow and ice bring driving challenges, and how you prepare for them will provide you with a margin of safety. And remember that winter tires actually are different than regular tires. Here's John from Quick Lane Freeland to tell you all about it.
Hello, Art. Yes, winter tires are made with a pliable rubber compound that includes silica to stay flexible and maintain grip in freezing temperatures. Unlike harder all-season tires, which stiffen and lose traction in the cold, this flexible compound allows the tire to better conform to the road surface, providing superior grip and traction on snow and ice to keep you safe.
Thanks, John. Stop into Quick Lane Freeland today for a tire check, and while you're there, you might want to have your cooling system checked to see if it's ready for the cold weather ahead, and it is coming, folks. Remember, too, that McDonald Ford has all new Ford models and a range of quality pre-owned vehicles for any budget. Quick Lane and McDonald Ford, where you can buy your winter tires for just $5 over cost. Stop in today.
Rocket Grab Plus.
back with you here on WSGW. We're talking to Katie Harrington, who is having a remembrance run, Tiny Footprints Remembrance, upcoming 5K, in honor of one of her twin daughters lost during the birth process. Also with us this morning is the one and only Christiana Malacara. How did you find Katie?
How did I find Katie? Oh, that's a good question, Art. Well, at Renew, her previous employer, how did I find you? I through the grapevine, honestly. Art, you know this. There's so many just people that cross our paths, and business cards get handed to us, and emails, get flooded. And I think it was just one of those things where I read up on Katie. I read her bio, which I do before all of our guests. I get
She actually
familiar.
does show prep, friends.
I do. I read up on Dr. Katie and was like, hey, this is really important for women to know about, pelvic health. But then when I got to know her a little more personally, I understood what the story was, and it became more relevant that this needs to be an episode. We need to have this conversation, and we did. And like I said in the last segment, is it's the most viewed episode on YouTube of That's What She Said. My email box just blew up afterwards with support and empathy and other women coming, and even husbands saying, because Dr. Katie had mentioned about talk therapy being important for her and her family during that time, and having the acknowledgement of, her daughter that she had lost. And husbands and wives were emailing and reaching out to me, saying, thank you for having somebody on. Thank you for someone advocating for this, because, we're struggling in silence. And that's the case for most couples and most women, is that struggle in silence.
So let me ask, Katie, how did you handle it when you were told that there was no heartbeat?
Mm-hmm.
You're still carrying,
mm-hmm.
and you understand what you're carrying.
Yeah.
What was life
so
like?
When they said, I'm sorry, Katie, there's no heartbeat, the first thing I said was, are you sure? The second thing I said was, did I do something wrong? And I went through a whole laundry list of things that I could have done wrong. And I can tell you 2 years later, I'm still trying to deal with and help myself, I guess, realize that it wasn't my fault. And I think that is very common for a lot of women. Like when we first have a loss, you think, what could I have done differently? Did I do something wrong? What if I exercised too much? And there's not really a lot of evidence that any of that is true, but it's very easy to place blame on ourselves. And
did you seek help at the time?
Yes. And I still am. So I've been in therapy for, 2 years. It's a very, very long and difficult process, but it's very necessary. I think that...
Is it because of guilt?
Sometimes, but it's just also the trauma of it. I am very open about, the mental health aspect of it, and advocating for, mental health awareness and seeking help, because a lot of people do suffer in silence. They don't want to talk about it because other people are uncomfortable. They might be embarrassed. They might feel shame. So I will be, very straightforward. I have PTSD from it, post-traumatic stress disorder. And my therapist is helping me navigate that, because you can get triggered just in your day-to-day life. So
how, it's hard to answer this question. How common is your death like that?
So I think that, you mean stillbirths? Yeah, so 21,000 stillbirths yearly in the United States.
Oh, that's a ton.
Yeah, and then miscarriages are like 1 in 5.
That's, in Michigan. It's actually 1 in 5 women in the state of Michigan have a miscarriage. So when Dr. Katie was telling me that, and at the time when I interviewed her, I had interviewed 45 women. And, you know, those are 45 women through, that's what she said, that I just had sitting down with me. And so I took those statistics and I thought to myself, you know, these are people we know. These are, you know, again, that suffering in silence. This is, you know, this could be a relative and we never even knew. It could be a friend. And that is quite high. And a lot of those people, a lot of those women aren't even seeking help afterwards.
Are these numbers included in infant mortality numbers, or are they separate?
Infant mortality is 5.6 per 1,000 live births. So
It's high around here.
it is high.
This is one of the areas where we really need to work on that.
Yeah.
So what do you advise moms, pregnant moms?
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell them?
In regards to
What they should be doing?
like health wise,
Mm-hmm.
I usually say follow what your doctor says. Being
Good answer from Dr. Katie.
being active is important. That's, you know, good for birth, good for the birth process. Probably that's the biggest thing. But as we talked about, I don't really work a lot with pregnant moms anymore. So
And that's simply because psychologically
it was too much.
too much for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to the Tiny Footprints Remembrance 5K. The when's, where's, costs, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. at St. Charles Park in Midland. It starts and ends there, and this park is by the Tridge. So there'll be directions on the page. And sponsors. Yes. So it's presented by Big Sky Wellness. They are a company that does mental health therapy. And then our silver sponsor is Olette Dumpsters. And then our bronze sponsors are Renew Physical Therapy and Jones and Secor Family Dentistry. And then our vendor for the race is Sweet Sarah's Cattle Corn. So she was nice enough to donate her services. So we're excited about that.
So the nonprofit you're forming, what do you hope to do with it?
So kind of the same thing that we're doing with the race is we're increasing awareness and educating on miscarriage, stillbirth, infant loss, having the opening to have the conversation of the grief that comes with it, the mental health difficulties that come with it, and I want to normalize the conversation, help women feel, and parents, I should say, across the board, feel more comfortable talking about their loss. But I also think that having that conversation helps other people feel more comfortable. Educating them helps them learn, I don't want to say the right thing to say, but also what are some of the wrong things to say.
Yeah, to be respectful around the topic and create awareness. Yeah, when Dr. Katie came to me with this year, I said, with whatever powers I have, and behold, they're yours, because it's about starting that conversation and getting the taboo away from this. So in our original conversation, Dr. Katie was saying that her daughter knows about her daughter in heaven, and they have this conversation regularly, and breaking that stigma helps with the healing process.
I want to take a quick break, and we'll be back after these notes.
This fall, bring your game indoors with
In studio, Dr. Katie Harrington and Christiana Malakata. And Christiana, of course, has her show it's called That's What She Said, talking about women and how they take care of business, if you will. Now, I'm going to let her continue an interview right now.
All right,
With
thanks,
Katie,
Art.
Dr. Katie, as you say.
I do call her Dr. Katie. I mean, once you get that title, you kind of, it sticks. So Katie, I mean, thank you for, one, coming on and talking about this. I know our initial conversation, it got, it got complicated. There's emotions that arise with this. And, that statistic of every 1 in 5 women in the state of Michigan do have a loss, a pregnancy loss. Those are high numbers.
Yeah.
And what you're doing here, with the Tiny Footprints Remembrance and Walk is creating awareness. What more do you want when people come to the walk? What are you hoping that they walk away with?
I want to give grieving families a safe and open space to honor their babies. Because like I talked about before, there's a lot of stigma surrounding it, and people, I think, are afraid to talk about their loss because they don't know what people are going to say. They don't know if they're going to be dismissed. They don't know if someone's going to say something that's kind of offensive, because I've had that happen numerous times. Because grief is an invisible wound. And the way that I kind of think about it is, my physical therapy brain goes to, if you see someone walking down the street with a walker or crutches and they're limping, you can see, okay, they're hurting, they're having some sort of physical issue. But with grief, we're walking by all of these people and it's an internal wound. Like, you don't know what people are going through, and it can be very isolating, because it's, again, we don't talk about it. So having this open space and honoring their babies openly can be very healing, but also it's validating to know that everyone there at this event has been impacted by this in some way.
So who can walk? We're talking about moms, children, anyone can
Anyone can walk. Yep. So the trail or the route that I have is stroller friendly. It's pet friendly. Pets have to be in a leash. Last year we had dogs, kids, walkers, runners. Yeah.
Okay. And then again, where can they sign up?
It is runsignup.com. And then if you just search for the Tiny Footprints Remembrance 5K, there's that option. There's also an option to donate. So I want to
let's talk
do
about
a
that.
shout out for that. So if you cannot make it to the race, there is an option just to donate to the cause. And so all of our proceeds are going to go to the Covenant NICU, so helping them, have materials, I guess you could say, to support. So like last year we did some swaddles, some little tiny baby clothes, and then all the nurses there, they have like stationery stuff to make little signs for the babies. So they have, I think, a list on Amazon that we bought a bunch of stuff from. And then the Covenant has a bereavement program called Noah's Footprints, and they make mementos for grieving families of their babies. So for Piper, we had like hand molds, footprints, handprints. We have a swaddle that she got wrapped in. So helping them with supplies, and then helping local grieving families in need with, anything they might need, like monetary.
Yeah. Because you're going home. Frankly, you're going home alone.
Yeah.
But your body is still here trying to figure out what's happening. And so I'm sure that's part of it. And you're saying with those proceeds, this kit and these materials are going to help with that at-home process.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you didn't go home alone. Well, you did in a way because your baby was still in NICU.
Yeah.
But you still had a surviving child.
Yeah.
Did all your attention then focus?
That was extremely difficult. So, so when I eventually was discharged from the hospital, I went home with no babies. And that was, traumatic in itself. But, so right after birth, our survivor, Juniper, went right up to the NICU. I wasn't able to really hold her. She was, on actually like what we call contact precautions. So I ended up having a uterine infection. So that's why we had to deliver. Her heart tone started to decrease and go low. And that was because of Piper still being there, which, it happened. So,
So you had a C-section.
Yeah, I had a C-section. Yeah. So her Juniper's white blood count was off, so we couldn't even hold her until the next day. We had to wear a gown and a mask and everything. So between that and, Piper was inside of, my body and passed away for 10 days. So when she came out, she looked like a baby, but she also didn't look like I don't want to say normal baby, but like obviously a live baby. Mm-hmm. And so as the days go on, her body is continuing to break down. So I didn't want to keep her there for too long because I think that it would have just been more difficult. So I had to, I was still in the hospital for 4 days after my C-section. So I was going back and forth between my hospital room, upstairs to the NICU, trying to spend time with Piper, but also giving myself, I don't want to say alone time, but like giving myself space, I guess.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I do have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be safe to say you were a psychological mess?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I was numb for a while. Like I didn't even know where to begin with processing it because I'm in the woes of parenthood at that point. Like I'm a new mom. I'm trying to be there for my daughter in the NICU, but also spending time with Piper before the funeral home came to get her.
And I have to ask this, because you obviously carried that child. What was your husband's reaction?
I think it was really hard for him because he wanted to be there for me, but also he had to try and be there for himself. And that year was actually very difficult for us because a few months before that, my mother-in-law, so his mom, unexpectedly passed away. So he's trying to navigate that, trying to help his wife, grieving his daughter. I'm in the hospital, and he has 2 kids from a previous marriage, so he's also taking care of his kids, all of our 3 dogs at home, but also working and trying to get to the hospital to see our survivor. So he was juggling a lot. He was also in training for a new job. So he just had a lot going on. And I think that, that was really difficult for him. But also I will say that I'll make a comment on toxic masculinity. And it's difficult, I think, for men to show those difficult emotions and be open with them because there's a huge stigma around that too. So I think it's really difficult for dads too.
But there is the saying, there's strength in unity.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things about this race is, we were talking about this just a little bit ago, that everyone that's going to be at this walk run has been impacted by loss in some way. So it's giving parents that safe space to openly grieve their child.
All right, we're going to take one more break, come back and finish up with our guests after these notes. And I'll tell you what, if you're a woman with a story, Christiana's looking for you, but she won't have you on for at least a year because she's booked up.
How
far in advance are you booked? I'm serious.
Okay. I have 2 spots in December. Yeah.
You do?
Yep. Those are the spots. And then moving forward, Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let me know. Yeah, there's so many awesome women in the region. It's
that is true.
Yes, in all walks of life. So with That's What She Said, we our motto is from student to CEO, and I've had students just fairly recently. They've graduated high school, going off to college, and she was studying something very unique. So I brought her on, and she had this glow about her.